That was also.
I'm saying if they try to if he gets a negative test Friday and they decide he could play, which I hadn't heard that, so you feel me?
Oh, okay. So let me.
Last I heard they were going to maybe let him play a little bit, and I don't think he's going to be very good.
Well,
he does.
let me throw this out there. So Lawrence has been at practice, right, more or less, but he's going to travel with the team, but he's not going to play because of COVID protocol, right? And Dabo came out and said that immediately following the win against Boston College, and then he's doubled down on that. Plus, the way that DJ played in that game, because I watched every minute of Clemson's 34-28 come from behind victory, and what I don't think that people actually understand, one is Uiagalelei is that dude, and two, as much stuff as people talked about Travis Etienne in the game that he was getting stuffed like all day. He could not run the football. He did all his damage catching the football, which means he's catching it from the true freshman who went for 342 on 30 of 41 and also rushed for a touchdown. Also, shouts to me. I have a piece coming out about this on foxsports.com later on. So, like, I'm zeroed in on Notre Dame Clemson. I'm in on it. All to say, Notre Dame better win because, like, the other thing about Clemson is that they did not have their quote-unquote quarterback on defense in James Skalski, but they also didn't have his running mate Mike Jones, and they also didn't have their starting defensive tackle Tyler Davis, which say they're down 3 starters to start with, and Brent Venables is trying to figure out what he got, and they got exposed against Phil Jurkovec and, Jeff Hafley for one half. They go down 18, halftime is 15, they go win it in Death Valley. But the thing that I thought was wild and fascinating to me is how good the kid looked, which also, I talked about this a little bit early on, but like, it ain't going to be easy for Trevor Lawrence to just kind of be like, I don't want to go play for the Jets. I'm going to go play for Clemson again because Uiagalelei can go anywhere he wants and play right away as soon as they pass this transfer rule. So, yes, Lawrence having the COVID matters, but it ain't going to matter this weekend. Yeah, I mean,
it's not going to be pretty.
But like,
and I don't want to walk back my prediction.
Okay.
But I do also not have a lot of confidence in Notre Dame to win any game that matters, unless they're playing OU.
Oh, see, now that is a conversation that is worth having because in the Brian Kelly era, they're like 1-6, 0 for 6. Like they're awful. Going back to 2012 when they beat Oklahoma and then they get handed their head by Alabama in a national championship game. Like they're just. But this is also the game that we wanted to see in 2018, right? Because if we'd have seen Notre Dame play Clemson in an ACC championship game, we don't have to watch them in the college football playoff and get a run, right? So we all feel that. We all still feel that. That I get that, and I think that that's what we're talking about. But like, the thing that bothers me about this game from the Notre Dame perspective is they are a power running defensive team. I never thought of Brian Kelly's Notre Dame as being a power running defensive team. Like, the idea that Ian Book might not go for 300 yards in this game, yeah, I'll put that out there. But that he might not get more than 20 pass attempts, I hadn't actually thought about until leading up to this week when that actually might be the move. You want to keep Clemson's offense off the field and keep their defense on it for as long as you possibly can. So, like, I don't think that your prediction is necessarily wrong. I just think the way that it gets done is going to say as much about where Notre Dame is as it is how deep Clemson is. Because Clemson, we think, can lose this game, but I don't think they can lose this game. No, nobody's going to let Clemson into the college football playoffs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, there's no question Clemson, Alabama, and Ohio State are 1, 2, and 3 in some order and several touchdowns better than the next team.
Who's going to be the 4th team?
In the playoff?
Yeah.
Well, if you just project it out, the question would be, does a 6-0, I guess, or a 7-0 Pac-12 team get in, regardless of the fact that that's even possible? Oregon probably has the talent and the weak schedule to get them to that. Let's just say they do pull it off. I'm not necessarily confident in that, but if Oregon can go 7-0, do they get in over Cincinnati?
Yes.
If Cincinnati can win in their championship game, what would that put them in? About 10-0, 11-0? Do they get in over 7-0 Oregon? I mean, of course not.
Yeah, I mean, because the same reason Central Florida didn't get in, right? Central Florida is looking at Georgia and being like, wait, that's our spot. No, it's not. We don't think you're that good. We blew everybody out. We don't care. Like, that's what Cincy could do. Cincy could blow everybody out and still just get that New Year 6, right? But to your point about Oregon, their schedule is Stanford, Washington State, UCLA, Oregon State, Cal, and Washington. Like, it's
where's the loss?
Exactly. Like, I like to think that maybe Stanford got something for them, especially this first night that everybody's going to play. But, well, right? Yeah. Which is to say that, they're going to do the least with them.
Over-talented, underperforming.
Golly, it's maddening, right? But they also get Arizona State to start. And I'm like, Arizona State's awesome. Like, they're really good. Like, that would be my pick to win the Pac-12 championship because they get Oregon in a conference championship, right? Otherwise, if you're just playing 7 straight, it's just Oregon, right? Like, I feel like Oregon could be this year's Utah, if that makes sense. So
yeah. So the path for the Bearcats would be Oregon goes to the Pac-12 championship game and faces Arizona State or USC, one of which gave the other one a loss. That team beats Oregon, which is entirely possible, and you just have a complete,
we call that the
3
Oklahoma.
or 4 1. Yeah, you have a couple one-loss teams, 2-loss teams in the Pac-12 versus an undefeated Cincinnati. You still may not get in if you're Cincinnati, but they have a better shot against a one-loss Pac-12 team than an undefeated, of course.
Well, here's the thing, though. Like, remember that Utah's into the playoff. All they got to do is beat Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game because Oregon had lost to Arizona State, and they can't do it. Utah give me 2 losses, right? Utah give me 2. And yet, I look over at Oklahoma, who was that one-loss conference champ, right? And any other year, I'm also looking at who finished runner-up in the SEC. Like, are we really going to look at Alabama running over everybody? Let's say Ohio State running over everybody. And then you got a one-loss Pac-12 champ. You got a one-loss SEC runner-up that might be Georgia, right, who's undefeated because Florida's already got the loss. And then you got an grading you, right? It's who do I think looks the best? So it could be, let's say Ohio State wins a conference championship with 5 wins total. They're going to get in. Everybody's going to be like, they didn't play enough games. According to who? According to each one of those people on that committee? No. They look at Ohio State and they say they need to be in because they're that good. And it's also, like, I think some of this is TV market. What's Cincinnati's TV market as opposed to Columbus's TV market, right? And how many people are going to tune in to watch Ohio State from across the country as opposed to Cincinnati? This is why Central Florida was like, we have the world's largest undergrad, and y'all don't want to put us in there? Yeah, well, you don't actually, like, you don't do well nationally, so. But that shouldn't matter. Well, it doesn't matter. But, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, kind of matters.